My name is Iris Archer and I am 33 years old. 2 weeks ago, my mother rang my doorbell for the first time in 9 years. She stood on my porch in a beige cardigan with a carry-on suitcase and a folded piece of paper. The paper was not an apology. It was a list, handwritten, blue ink, bullet points. Every bullet had a dollar sign. Total, $925,000. She did not say she was sorry. She did not ask about her grandchildren. She said, "We need to talk about the family's future." But here is what my mother did not know. I had been keeping a list of my own for 9 years. Every birthday card she returned. Every voicemail she ignored. Every text my sister sent about me behind my back. 29 items, all labeled, all dated, all filed in a navy blue binder sitting in the bottom drawer of my desk. She brought a list of what she wanted. I brought a list of what she did. Before we get into this, if you are new here, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. Drop a comment telling me where you are watching from and what time it is. I love reading those. Let me take you back to the summer I turned 24. The summer my family told me I was no longer one of them. Millfield, Ohio. Population 2,000 and change. One Baptist church. One barbershop. One diner where every booth smelled like coffee and bacon grease, no matter what time you walked in. That was my whole world until I was 18. My father, Kenneth, worked the same shift at the lumber yard on Route 7 for 31 years. Same boots. Same quiet nod through the door at 5:42 every evening. My mother, Diane, ran the household and the church women's committee with equal precision. She decided who brought what to every potluck, and nobody argued. My sister Paige was 4 years younger, and everything I was not. Loud, confident, the kind of girl who got voted homecoming queen and acted surprised. Mom adored her. Dad called her sunshine. I was the quiet one, the one who did the dishes without being asked and scored perfect on every math test and never got a party for either. I say this not with bitterness, but because you need to understand the math. In our family, love was a budget and Paige was always the line item that got funded first. When I was 18, I got a full scholarship to Ohio State. Mom packed my suitcase and slipped a card inside, the kind with flowers on the front and her handwriting on the back. "Come home soon. You belong here." I kept that card for 15 years. It is still in my desk drawer right next to the navy binder. It was the last kind thing she ever wrote me. I met Marcus Ellison in advanced statistics in the spring of my junior year. He sat 2 rows ahead of me and solved regression problems like he was reading a grocery list. Calm, methodical, never rushed. Engineering major, computer science minor, partial scholarship from Cleveland. His mother, Cora, was a retired school librarian who raised him alone, working 2 jobs until he was 16 and then 1 job and 3 volunteer positions after that. Marcus was biracial. He had his mother's eyes and his father's jawline, and this way of listening that made you feel like everything you said actually mattered. Our first date was at a taco truck near campus. He paid with crumpled singles. I paid with quarters. We split a horchata and talked until the truck closed. We dated 3 quiet, steady years before he proposed. He met my parents twice. The first time, Mom smiled too wide and called him Michael instead of Marcus. The second time she got his name right but didn't look at him when she said it. I told myself it was nerves. Small-town people. They just needed time. Paige was the honest one. At Thanksgiving she leaned over and whispered, "He's nice, but Mom is never going to be okay with this." You know that, right? I did not know that. Not yet. Marcus proposed on a Tuesday, no ring at first, just a conversation at our kitchen table in our tiny apartment near campus. He said, "I want to spend my life with you. I want to build something with you. Will you let me?" I said yes before he finished the sentence. I called home that night. Mom picked up on the 3rd ring. The line went quiet for 7 seconds. I counted. "You need to think about what this means for this family, Iris. Not congratulations. Not tell me about the ring. A warning." 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. Handwritten. Diane Archer's cursive on cream-colored stationery. 4 paragraphs. The last one said, "If you go through with this, you are choosing him over your family. We cannot support this. We will not attend. And if you walk down that aisle, do not expect to walk back through our door. He is not one of us, Iris. He never will be. That was the line. She drew it in blue ink on cream stationery and expected me to stand on her side of it. I read the letter 3 times, folded it, put it in a manila folder. Something in me, the part that files receipts and labels bank statements, told me to hold on to it. I held on. We got married at the Multnomah County Courthouse on a Saturday in June. 12 guests, all friends, all Marcus's side. Cora flew in from Cleveland with a garment bag and a Tupperware of pound cake. She pinned a silk flower to my dress and held both my hands and said, "Welcome to the family, baby." There was no aisle. There was a hallway with fluorescent lights and a judge who pronounced our names wrong and a reception at a Thai restaurant where we pushed 4 tables together and Marcus's college roommate gave a toast that made everyone laugh so hard Cora spilled her water. My dress cost $160 from a consignment shop. Marcus wore a navy suit he bought on clearance. We looked like 2 people who had just done the most important thing of their lives on a budget. Because we had. That night I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the grocery store roses and my hands shook, not from doubt, from grief. I had gotten married and the 2 people who raised me did not care enough to watch. 1 week later, I mailed a card to Millfield. Inside, our wedding photo, Marcus and me grinning on the courthouse steps. I wrote, "We are happy. I hope you can be happy for us someday." The card came back 11 days later. Red stamp. Return to sender. I opened the manila folder, tucked it inside, wrote in red pen, Item 2, wedding photo returned. That was the beginning of the binder. Year 1 was the hardest. I called Mom 4 times. Voicemail every time. I left careful messages, the kind where you choose every word because you know it might be the last one she listens to. "Hi, Mom. Just calling to say hi. Marcus got a job downtown. I'm studying for the CPA exam. I miss you." She never called back. Every birthday card, every Christmas card, every envelope I sent came back with the same red stamp. Dad sent 1 text in February. For words, "Your mother needs time." That was it. No follow-up. The 4 words sat in my phone like a voicemail I couldn't delete. Paige posted a family photo on Facebook that spring. Mom, Dad, Paige, Paige's boyfriend. All smiling. Captioned, "Sunday dinner with my people." I was not in the photo. I had never been invited. I printed the screenshot and transferred everything from the manila folder into a proper binder. Navy blue, 3 rings, tabs. By year 2, the binder had 7 items. In year 2, Marcus quit his job. Not recklessly. For 6 months, he had been building a prototype on nights and weekends, a compliance platform for small businesses, software that made SEC filings and financial audits manageable for companies that couldn't afford a legal team. He knew compliance. I knew finance. He set up a desk in our garage with 2 monitors, a space heater, and a whiteboard he bought at Goodwill for $12. I came home from my analyst job every evening, heated up leftover soup, and sat next to him reviewing financial models until midnight. I built the pricing structure. I wrote the compliance checklists. I tested every module against real SEC guidelines. Marcus built the engine. I built the dashboard. Neither of us slept enough. Compliance Core launched 7 months later with 4 customers and a free trial that crashed twice on the first day. Liam and Sophie arrived on a Wednesday morning in November. 6 pounds each. Identical dark curls. Sophie screamed for 4 hours. Liam slept through all of it. Marcus held them both at the hospital window and said, "They are going to know they are loved every single day." Cora flew in the next morning and stayed 2 weeks. She cooked and cleaned and rocked Liam at 3 a.m. while I fed Sophie. She brought a crocheted blanket, yellow and white, soft enough to make you cry, and a silver bracelet for each baby engraved with their birthdays. That was what a grandmother looked like. I had sent Diane the ultrasound photos 5 months earlier. Returned. I sent birth announcements. Returned. I sent photos, Liam sleeping on Marcus's chest, Sophie gripping my finger. Returned. 3 more items in the binder, labeled and dated. Then Paige texted a mutual friend from high school, who forwarded it to me without comment. Her children don't have real grandparents. That is what she chose. I sat in the nursery for 11 minutes holding Liam while Sophie slept, and I could hear Cora in the kitchen humming something low and sweet while she washed bottles. My children had a grandmother. Her name was Cora Ellison, and she flew from Cleveland every 6 weeks and never once missed a birthday. I printed the screenshot. Item 16, red pen, dated. I want to be clear about something. I did not keep that binder out of spite. I didn't flip through it at night fueling some fantasy of confrontation. Most weeks I forgot it existed. It sat in the bottom drawer behind tax folders and old insurance documents. But every time something arrived, a returned card, a forwarded screenshot, a voicemail transcript I couldn't delete because deleting it felt like erasing proof, I filed it. Same process every time. Print, label, date, red pen, tab. Marcus asked me once why I kept all of it. I told him the truth. Because someday when the kids are old enough, they might ask why they don't have grandparents on my side. And I want them to have facts. Not my version, not her version. The receipts. He nodded. He was an engineer. Engineers keep build logs. By year 4, Compliance Corps had 11 employees and a real office in the Pearl District. Marcus worked 60 hours a week. I worked 40 at my firm and 20 more on the company's books. We ate dinner together every night at 6:30. Non-negotiable. The silence from Ohio had become a fact of life, like weather. Some days I noticed it. Most days I didn't. Cora visited every 6 weeks. The twins called her Grammy. She taught Liam how to make grilled cheese. She taught Sophie the names of every bird in the backyard. Year 5. 15 employees. A real office with a sign on the door. We bought our first house, a craftsman bungalow in Selwood, 3 bedrooms, original hardwood, a backyard with a plum tree the twins claimed as their fort. I remember signing the mortgage papers and thinking, this is ours. Nobody gave us this. We built it. Liam and Sophie started kindergarten. They rode the same bus and argued about who got the window seat. Normal. Beautifully, painfully normal. On a Tuesday night in October, I made the mistake of checking Facebook. Diane had posted a family photo from what looked like a Thanksgiving preview dinner. New dining set. Paige and her husband. A baby in a high chair. Paige's son. My nephew. I had never met him. Caption: my whole world. I closed the app and went to bed. I had stopped crying about Diane Archer somewhere around year 3. Some wounds don't heal. They just go numb. Paige got married in year 6. I learned about it from Instagram 4 days after the wedding. White church, the same Baptist church where I was baptized at 12. 200 guests. Mom in lavender. Dad in a suit I'd never seen. I stared at that photo for a long time. Not because I was jealous of the wedding. I had my wedding. 12 people, Thai food, a $160 dress, and the best man I have ever known. I stared because they looked happy. And they looked happy without me. I ordered a set of handmade linen napkins from a shop in Portland, ivory, monogrammed with Paige's new initials. I wrote a card. Congratulations on your wedding. I wish you and your husband every happiness. The package came back 3 weeks later. Unopened, the tape untouched. Item 17. Gift return, Paige's wedding. Red pen. Dated. I put the binder away, closed it, sat at my desk, and listened to Sophie singing in the bath and Liam arguing with Marcus about whether dinosaurs could swim. That was my family right there in the next room. And they were enough. Year 7 changed the trajectory. Compliance Corps landed its Series B $12 million from a venture capital firm in San Francisco. Marcus was in the kitchen making pancakes when his phone rang. He listened, nodded, hung up, turned to me, and said they said yes. Post-money valuation of $68 million. Marcus and I still held 22%. We were not rich. Not yet. But the numbers were heading somewhere I had only ever modeled in spreadsheets. I left my analyst job that month and joined Compliance Corps full-time as CFO. For the first time, my name was on the company paperwork next to his. Partners in everything. We moved to a 4-bedroom colonial in Lake Oswego. Good schools, quiet neighborhood, a kitchen with an island where the twins did homework while I reviewed quarterly reports at the other end. The Series B made a small splash in the press. TechCrunch ran 4 paragraphs. 2 FinTech newsletters picked it up. The kind of coverage that people in the industry noticed and everyone else scrolled past. But someone in Millfield, Ohio, did not scroll past. 2 weeks after the article ran, a friend from high school texted, "Your mom asked about your husband's company at church on Sunday. She wanted to know what Series B meant." I read that text 3 times. Mom had not spoken my name in 7 years. She didn't know what Series B meant, but she wanted to. The math was changing and Diane Archer was paying attention. That same year I sent what I knew would be my last birthday card. I had sent one every year for 7 straight years. Each one returned, each one filed. But this time I tucked something inside, a photo of Liam and Sophie at their school's fall festival. Matching flannels, face paint. Liam was missing his 2 front teeth. Sophie was grinning so wide her eyes were nearly shut. On the back I wrote, "They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away." The card came back in 9 days instead of 11. But something was different. The envelope had been opened. The flap was creased, the glue resealed with a thin strip of clear tape. Someone had taken the photo out, looked at it, and carefully put it back before returning it. I held that envelope up to the light for a long time. Dad had opened it. He'd wanted to keep it. Mom had made him send it back. Item 23. Birthday card, year 7. Opened and resealed. Photo viewed. Still returned. I wrote the label with a steadier hand than I expected, because I had suspected for years that Dad wasn't the architect of the silence. He was the enforcer. Mom was the architect. And the blueprint was simple. If she couldn't control who I loved, she would erase me from the family entirely. Year 8, Compliance Corps had 80 employees, offices in Portland and Austin, and a partnership with 2 major accounting firms in the Pacific Northwest. Marcus was on the cover of a regional business magazine, The Quiet Disruptor. That month someone from Millfield, Ohio, viewed my LinkedIn profile 3 times in 1 week. Private browser, no name visible, but the location was right there. Then Forbes ran its annual companies to watch list. Compliance Corps came in at number 47. Small mention, 2 sentences, but it was Forbes. A few weeks later my Ohio friend texted again. "Your mom told Linda at church that she always knew Marcus was smart." 7 years of silence. And now she always knew. I did not add that to the binder. It was hearsay. But I wrote it on a post-it and stuck it to the inside cover, because I wanted to remember the exact moment Diane Archer started rewriting history. The group chat arrived on a Monday. My friend Tess called me at 7 in the evening, voice rattled. Paige had accidentally added her to a family chat. She'd been in it 3 days before they noticed. She sent me 7 screenshots. I read them in the parking lot of Liam's soccer practice. Paige, his company was valued at $68 million last round. If they IPO, we're looking at $300 million minimum. Diane, how do we approach this? She won't listen to me. Kenneth, maybe I should call first. Feel her out. Diane, no. I need to go in person with a plan. A real plan. Paige, make a list. Be specific about what we need. She's a numbers person. She'll respond to numbers. Diane, how much should we ask for? Paige, start with the mortgage, then medical, then retirement. College for my son. Layer it. Make it look like family investment, not a request. Kenneth, this doesn't feel right. Diane, Kenneth, she has more money than this entire town. She can afford to help her family. Kenneth did not reply after that. I sat in my car with the engine off. Through the windshield I could see Liam running across the field chasing a ball twice the size of his head. My hands were shaking, not from sadness, from clarity. 9 years of silence. 9 years of returned birthday cards and ignored grandchildren. And now that the numbers had changed, they wanted to approach with a plan. I drove home. Printed the screenshots. Filed them. Item 26. Family group chat. Financial tracking. Reconnaissance confirmed. I told Marcus that night after the kids were asleep. He read the screenshots once, slowly, the way he reads code line by line, looking for bugs. When he finished, he set the phone on the counter and stared at the wall. Then, what do you want to do? Nothing yet. But I want to be ready. He nodded. That was Marcus. He didn't tell me what to feel. He asked what I wanted and then he stood next to me while I figured it out. The next morning, I called a family attorney, not to sue, just to understand our position. The attorney, Grace, mid-50s, no nonsense, walked me through it in 20 minutes. No legal standing. Our trusts were structured to protect the children's assets. No grandparent visitation rights in Oregon without an existing relationship. 9 years of documented estrangement made any claim laughable. I thanked her, hung up, and went back to work. That week, I drafted a letter at the kitchen table after midnight. I didn't send it. I just wrote it out long, every item in the binder, every date, every returned card. 26 items. 9 years. I put it back in the drawer. Year 9. The IPO conversation started in January. Investment bankers flew to Portland. 3 rounds of meetings in our conference room, the one with the whiteboard still from Goodwill, though nobody needed to know that. Marcus handled the product pitch. I handled every slide, every projection, every risk disclosure. My name was on it, CFO, co-founder, the person who signed off on every SEC filing before it left the building. The process took 7 months. The twins started noticing. Liam asked why Dad kept talking to his laptop at dinner. Sophie drew a picture of me at my desk with a speech bubble that said, "One more email." In August, our attorney finalized the trust structure for Liam and Sophie, 2 irrevocable trusts, funded and protected. Nobody, not Diane, not Kenneth, not Paige, not any future version of any Archer who showed up with a list, could touch a dollar. I signed the documents on a Tuesday afternoon overlooking the Willamette River. The attorney asked if I had any questions. I had one. If a family member attempts to claim access to these funds, what happens? Nothing, she said. That's the point. 2 months before the IPO, Paige texted. First time in 9 years. 6 words, "Hey, just thinking about you. How are the kids?" As if this were a continuation of something instead of a resurrection. I didn't reply for a week. She followed up, she'd be in Portland for work, would love to see me. Marcus said it was my call. I agreed to meet her, not at our house. A cafe in the Pearl District. Public, neutral, time limited. Paige showed up 15 minutes late in a blazer and ankle boots. She hugged me too long. She said you look amazing 3 times in the first 10 minutes. Then came the questions. How big was the house? Did the kids go to private school? What neighborhood? Was Marcus still running the company? How many employees? Any recent funding? 32 questions. I counted. Not one of them was "I'm sorry." Halfway through our lattes, I noticed Paige had her phone angled toward the parking lot window. She was photographing my car. She was scouting, cataloging, building a report. I let her finish her latte. I answered vaguely and politely, the way you answer a bank teller's small talk. When I got home, I opened the binder. Item 28. Paige reconnaissance visit. 32 questions documented. Photographed vehicle. No apology offered. No mention of past estrangement. Then I called Grace for the second time. They're coming, I told her. My mother, probably within weeks of the IPO. Grace asked what kind of demands. I described the group chat, Paige's instructions to layer it and make it look like family investment. Grace was quiet for a moment. You have documentation? I have a binder. How thorough? 28 items, dated, sourced, 9 years. Another pause. Iris, you don't need me for this. The legal structure is already done. What you're describing is a personal confrontation. And for that, you just need to decide what you're willing to say. She was right. This was not about lawyers. This was about whether I was going to let Diane Archer rewrite 9 years of silence into a story about a misunderstanding. I sat at my desk and read the letter I had drafted months earlier, the one listing every item in the binder. Then I put it back in the drawer. I didn't need the letter. I had the binder itself. 28 items. 9 years. Every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every screenshot. Every piece of evidence that my family had erased me, not because I did something wrong, but because I love someone they refused to accept. Compliance Core went public on a Wednesday in October. Marcus and I stood on the floor of the NASDAQ in New York, him in a charcoal suit, me in a navy blazer, and watched the stock open at $18 a share. By noon it hit 20. By close, 22. Market cap, $440 million. We held 10%. $44 million on paper. A number that didn't feel real. It felt like a spreadsheet cell someone had typed wrong. Too many zeros. Check the formula. But the zeros were right. I had checked the formula. That was literally my job. Marcus and I celebrated with room service sushi in our hotel room overlooking Times Square. Liam and Sophie were back in Portland with Cora, who had flown in for the week. Marcus fell asleep on the couch at 9:15, still wearing his suit jacket. I stayed up. Not because of the IPO, because of what I knew was coming next. 5 missed calls. Area code 740. Millfield, Ohio. I didn't call back. I set the phone face down on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling. 9 years. 44 million. And suddenly Iris Archer was worth knowing again. Kenneth's voicemail arrived the next morning while I was brushing my teeth. His voice was thinner than I remembered, older. Baby girl. I saw you on the news. You and Marcus on the stock exchange floor. I don't know what to say. I'm calling. I'm proud of you. I've always been a long pause. Breathing. Your mother wants to talk. Please call her back when you can. I love you, Iris. I played it 3 times. Baby girl. He hadn't called me that since I was 14. I rewound it and listened to the structure. He called after the IPO. Not after the wedding. Not when the twins were born. Not after any of the 7 birthday cards or the ultrasound photos. After the IPO. He was proud of me on paper. He had always been proud of me on paper. What he had never been was brave enough to pick up the phone when there were no millions attached to the call. I saved the voicemail. I didn't add it to the binder. It was too sad for the binder. Instead, I sat on the hotel bathroom floor and let myself feel it, all of it, for about 4 minutes. Then I got up and packed my suitcase. We had a flight to catch. Diane's text arrived 2 days after we got home. Long, carefully composed, no typos, no autocorrect errors. A draft, clearly rehearsed. Iris, I know we have lost time. I think about you and the children every day. Life is short, and I have learned that some things matter more than the differences that divide us. I would like to talk about the future, about the children, about what it means to be a family. There are things that families should share. I believe we can find a way forward if you are willing. I read it twice and counted the words. 63 carefully chosen words. Not one of them was sorry. Not one of them acknowledged that she had disowned me for marrying a man whose skin was a different shade than hers. She wrote the differences that divide us as if our estrangement were a philosophical disagreement instead of a mother who told her daughter, "He is not one of us," and returned 7 years of birthday cards unopened. I screenshotted the text, printed it, opened the binder. Item 29. First text from Diane in 9 years. 63 words. 0 apology. Red pen. Dated. Tess called on a Friday. Paige was telling people at home that Iris lived in a mansion and drove a Tesla and the kids went to private school. And Diane was packing a suitcase. She was coming to Portland the following week. I closed my eyes. I know. Tess sounded surprised. What are you going to do? I'm going to open the door. You're going to let her in? I'm going to let her talk. And then I'm going to show her what I've been keeping in the bottom drawer of my desk for 9 years. She arrived on a Tuesday at 10:14 in the morning. I was standing at the kitchen window drying a mug when the taxi pulled up. Same beige cardigan. Same pearl studs she'd worn to church every Sunday since I was a girl. A carry-on suitcase, small, worn at the corners. She stood on the sidewalk for a full 30 seconds before walking up the path. I watched her take in the house the way a real estate appraiser would evaluating. The doorbell rang. I opened the door. Iris. Mom. A silence. For seconds. I came to talk about the children's future. Not I came because I missed you. Not I came because I was wrong. The children she had never met. The children whose photos she returned in sealed envelopes. I looked at the suitcase and the folded piece of paper in her right hand. Come in. I led her not to the living room, but to the kitchen. The kitchen had a table. Good light. The fridge covered in Cora's photos and the twins' artwork and the world map where Sophie marked every country she wanted to visit someday. The kitchen was where truth lived in this house. She sat. I poured 2 glasses of water. No coffee. Coffee was for people who were staying. Her eyes landed on the fridge on Cora's photo, Grammy Cora holding Liam and Sophie at the beach, all 3 of them laughing. Diane stared at it for 5 seconds. Something crossed her face. I couldn't tell if it was guilt or jealousy. She unfolded the paper. Her handwriting, blue ink, 5 bullet points, each one neat and deliberate. Retirement fund for your father and me, $500,000. College fund for Paige's son, Thomas, $200,000. Your father's knee surgery, $45,000. Mortgage payoff on the family home, $180,000. Monthly support, $3,000. She folded the paper, placed it on the table, looked at me. This is what families do, Iris. Your father worked his whole life. It's time to give back. $925,000. Itemized. Calculated. Presented like an invoice. Not once did she say sorry. Not once did she acknowledge that she was sitting in a house she had never visited, asking for money from grandchildren she had never held. I picked up the list, read each line, folded it, set it down. Then I stood up and walked to my office. The bottom drawer was exactly where I left it. Under the tax folders, behind the old insurance documents. I pulled out the binder, navy blue, 3 rings, heavy with 9 years of documentation. I carried it back to the kitchen and set it on the table right next to her folded list of demands. 2 documents. Hers, 1 page, 5 bullets, $925,000. Mine, 29 items, 9 years, 0 apologies received. Diane looked at the binder. What is that? You brought a list, Mom. I sat down and placed my hands flat on the table. I brought one too. She stared at the red pen labels visible through the clear cover, at the thickness of it. Nearly 3 inches of tabs and documents and printed screenshots and returned birthday cards in their original envelopes. I opened the binder to tab 1, year 1, and I started reading. I did not raise my voice. I did not cry. I did not perform. I read the way I read quarterly reports to the board, factual, organized, item by item. I pulled out the first envelope. White. Red stamp across the front. Still sealed. I placed it on the table. Item 1. Birthday card. Mailed September 12, 2017. Returned September 23rd. A second envelope. Same stamp. Item 2. Wedding photo. Mailed June 14, 2017. Returned June 25th. A third. Item 3. Christmas card. Mailed December 8, 2017. Returned December 21st. I laid them out one by one, the way you lay out evidence in an audit. No commentary. No emotion. Just documents in chronological order. Diane's mouth opened, then closed. She stared at the growing row of white envelopes with red stamps, each one a door I had tried to open, and she had slammed shut. These are the birthday cards I sent you every year for 9 years. Every single one came back. Iris, I'm not finished. I moved to tab 2. Year 2. A voicemail transcript stapled to a call log. A Facebook screenshot. Item 4, voicemail, January 7, 2018. Duration, 47 seconds. No callback. Diane pressed her fingers to her lips. Item 5, text from Dad, February 12, 2018. For words, your mother needs time. It's been 9 years, Mom. How much more time did you need? The tears came. I had expected them. Diane covered her face and made the sound I had heard 1,000 times growing up, the controlled, theatrical cry she used when she wanted sympathy without surrendering dignity. The same cry she used when Dad forgot their anniversary. The same cry she used when the church didn't pick her casserole. I was hurt, Iris. You chose him over us. You left. I didn't leave. You told me not to come back. I was upset. People say things when they're upset. I flipped to tab 4 and pulled out a printout. Item 16. Text from Paige to a mutual friend. Forwarded to me. March 9, 2021. I read it aloud. Her children don't have real grandparents. That is what she chose. Diane flinched. Paige didn't mean. This is Paige's exact text, word for word. I flipped to the last tab. The 7 screenshots. The group chat. Item 26, Family Group Chat, October 4th, 2025. I read Paige's message aloud. Make a list. Be specific about what we need. She's a numbers person. She'll respond to numbers. Then Diane's. She has more money than this entire town. She can afford to help her family. Diane's face changed. The theatrical tears dried. Something harder surfaced, anger, not guilt. The same expression she wore when Paige broke the good china and blamed it on the dog. You had no right to read that. I looked at her. Level. Steady. You had no right to return my children's photos. The kitchen went silent. I reached for one specific item. Tab 5, Year 7. The envelope was slightly different. Same white paper, same red stamp, but the flap was creased, the glue resealed with a thin strip of clear tape. I held it up. Item 23. Birthday card, Year 7. Inside this card was a photo of Liam and Sophie at their school fall festival. On the back I wrote, "They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away." This card was opened. Someone looked at their faces, then sealed it back up and sent it back. I set it on the table. Who opened it, Mom? Silence. Dad opened it. He wanted to keep it. And you made him send it back. Diane's hands went flat on the table. Her eyes were fixed on the tape. She whispered something so quiet I almost missed it. I was afraid. If I let him keep it, if I let any of it in, I would have had to admit I was wrong. That I lost 9 years for nothing. That I pushed away my grandchildren because I was too proud to. She stopped. Swallowed. For 1 second, maybe 2, something real crossed her face. Not performance. Not manipulation. Actual fear. The kind that lives under anger so long it forgets how to come out any other way. Then it was gone. Her chin lifted. Her posture stiffened. But you left us, Iris. You made your choice. The moment of honesty evaporated like steam off a coffee cup. I placed her list of demands on the left side of the table. I placed the binder on the right. Your list. $925,000. 5 bullet points. No apology. I tapped the binder. My list. 29 items. 9 years of silence. 9 years of returned birthday cards and ignored grandchildren and a daughter you erased because she married the wrong man. I did not erase. You told the church I abandoned you. You had Paige tell her friends that my children didn't have real grandparents. You tracked my husband's company for months and came to my door with an itemized invoice. I closed the binder. The metal rings clicked shut. You didn't come here because you missed me, Mom. You came here because the numbers changed. She stood, the chair scraping against the tile. After everything we did for you growing up, the food, the clothes, the school, this is how you repay us? You raised me. That's not a debt. That's what parents do. We gave you everything. You gave me a card that said come home soon. Then you told me not to come back. She had no answer for that. I could see her scanning through every guilt trip and lever in her arsenal, finding nothing that fit. You said he was not one of us. But for 9 years, his mother was the only grandmother my children ever had. The words hung in the kitchen like smoke. She heard them. I watched them land. The garage door rumbled. Marcus walked in through the laundry room, keys in one hand, laptop bag on his shoulder. He saw Diane. He saw the binder. He saw me. He didn't speak. He set his bag on the counter, walked to where I was sitting, put his hand on my shoulder, and sat down beside me. No words. No confrontation. Just a man sitting next to his wife because she needed him there. Diane looked at Marcus, the man she had refused to accept 9 years ago. He wore a flannel shirt and running shoes and a watch that cost less than her pearl studs. Nothing flashy. Nothing that announced $44 million. Just a good man. A father. A husband. His hand on my shoulder said everything without opening his mouth. Diane stared at that hand. At my shoulder. At the space between us that held no tension, no performance, no need for words. And she understood. I did not need the Archer family. I had already built my own. I spoke quietly, the way you deliver a final number on a balance sheet. Mom, I will not give you money. She opened her mouth. I continued. Not because I can't afford it. Because the moment I hand you a check, you'll believe you were right to stay away until it was profitable to come back. You'll tell yourself, and you'll tell Paige, that this is what family does. That the silence was a misunderstanding. That the 9 years were just a rough patch. I picked up her list and held it out. They were not a rough patch. They were a choice. Your choice. Every returned card. Every ignored voicemail. Every photo of your grandchildren that you looked at and sent back. She didn't take the list. It hung in the air between us. If you want to know your grandchildren, really know them, not as a line item on a financial plan, that starts with an apology. Not to me. To them. And it doesn't start today. It starts when you're ready to mean it. Diane took the list, picked up her suitcase, and walked to the front door. She stopped, turned around, opened her mouth, closed it, walked out. The door clicked shut. Not a slam. A click. The sound of someone leaving who knew she had lost something she could not buy back. 2 weeks passed. Marcus and I didn't talk about Diane much, not because we were avoiding it, but because there wasn't much left to say. She had come with a list. I had shown her a binder. She had left without apologizing. The math was settled. The twins didn't know she had visited. They were at school both times, the arrival and the departure. I preferred it that way. They would learn about Diane Archer when they were old enough to understand that some people only see when the light is right. Kenneth called on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing a vendor contract. Iris, your mother told me what happened. A pause. I should have opened that door for you 9 years ago. I should have picked up the phone. I should have driven to Portland the day the twins were born. I should have done a lot of things. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. Not because of the money. I don't want your money. I want to know my grandchildren. And I want to know if you'll let me try. I was quiet for 17 seconds. I counted. I believe you, Dad. But believing you and trusting you are different things. We start slow. Phone calls every 2 weeks. No visits yet. Just talking. He agreed. That's more than I deserve. It's exactly what you deserve. Not more, not less. We hung up. I went back to my contract. Paige texted once. One line, you could have just helped. I didn't reply. Some messages are their own answer. Diane did not call, did not text, did not write. The silence returned. But this time it was hers. I had said everything I needed to say. The next move was hers. The binder sat in the bottom drawer. 29 items. 9 years. I did not add a 30th. I hoped I would never have to. Here is what 9 years of silence taught me. Family is not the people who share your last name. Family is not the people who show up when your net worth changes. Family is the people who show up when your world is small and your garage is cold and your babies need a grandmother. The people who fly in from Cleveland every 6 weeks and crochet yellow blankets and teach your son how to make grilled cheese and teach your daughter the names of every bird in the backyard. That is family. And it was never about money. It was about showing up. That is my story. 9 years. 29 items. 1 navy binder. If this reminded you that your worth was never about the numbers, share it with someone who needs that today. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.